So what can I learn about myself? And so I started delving into my parents' DNA test that they've had done. And I learned a lot about the Germanic culture and the Celtic culture and the Swedish and the Dutch and all sorts of European cultures that I didn't really have much passion for prior. And so through that, and also merging that with like hoodoo from Africans who brought over voodoo into when they became slaves in the South, they adopted and changed it into hoodoo, and then like also incorporating shamanic practices of the Native American people. So sigils themselves were something that I really didn't understand prior to this research and prior to like wanting to learn. And so it's like this merging of all sorts of different things, runes and runic and Norse and Celtic, and so I began creating these wooden sculptures where I take a saying, a prayer or a blessing, and I break it down into the specific letters, and then you create a sculpture out of them, or well, a symbol out of them. And then I was like, well, I like making these sigils, what else can I do with them? Wait a minute, I can make these 3D. And so then I started like just experimenting with that, and I got some wooden dowel rods and I started connecting them together, and then now I've been making hanging sigils. I've made like 6 of them so far or something like that. And
you brought some.
I
brought
did,
some. Show,
yeah.
Would you mind
of course
showing us?
So I just mailed one across the country, and I'm sad now that it's gone because I would love to show it to you, but I'll have to show you a picture instead.
Okay.
So this one is probably my favorite one so far. And this one represents physical, mental, and spiritual health and well-being. And so it promotes that. So I forget what I should have brought my sketchbook, but I didn't. But it has all the ways of how I break down and create the sigil in a sketchbook. And then I actually make several variations of how the sigil could look before I determine which one is the right one to go with. And so I go with whichever one is speaking to me the most, that I think could be physically possible to make into a sculpture, and then go with that. And so this one's my favorite one so far that I've done. I'm working on another one right now that I didn't bring because it's not very far along. But this one is the first one that I did. So this is the first.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And it's a bit more complex. Like there's a lot of pieces to it, and so it's the way I make the sigils, just like how my drawings have changed. The sigils have changed a lot too. So this one represents elements. I welcome you to bless this home. So this one's intended to go like outside of a doorway, or at the entrance to a home, or something like that.
Yeah.
So those are probably my 2 favorite ones that I have so far. And this one is specifically for welcoming the season of spring to come. So it's celebrating Imbolc, which is an ancient European fertility festival. And this one is, I actually hang this one in my bathroom. So this one represents and is used from the words rain and forest spirits come dance among us. And so we have a forest themed bathroom, so I thought it would be very fitting to welcome the spirits to come hang out in the bathroom and party in the forest with us.
All right. Hey.
So thanks.
Party in the forest.
Yeah,
I
why not?
like that. Oh, interesting. And I've seen that, lately also, people have been getting into more of their ancestry, and
Yeah, totally.
and it's surprising to see that what you thought sometimes wasn't. You thought, oh, I come from this region somewhere in Europe or South America, and it might slightly be off. Like some ancestors may have touched base in that city, but you come from a different side of the pond. It's just interesting to find where one really is from, or
totally.
culture is really from. So
Well, there's such a mesh of like so many cultures now, so why not appreciate as many of them as possible?
Right. Well, welcome every culture. You're right. Absolutely. And what about these awesome portraits? What's the story behind them?
Yeah, these are some of my older work. Before I started having issues with my hands, that was started like 2 years ago now, a little over 2 years ago. So this was when I worked primarily using pen. Now that I've switched, when I draw into doing digital. So like this one is one of my favorites. This is a creature called the Copella, and they're from planet Jatheta 7-3. So I have a whole alternative dimension that I have explored, and these are one of the creatures which I have encountered. So they have a very broad evolutionary range where they primarily look similar with the long ears and the spots and the big eyes, and the slight kind of feline looking nose.
Yeah.
But there are some of the Copella who have like a plethora of eyes. Like here's another one, for example, which I've drawn. And this one specifically, her name is Drulakoi.
Oh wow, beautiful.
And
Okay.
so she has the same kind of spots. Her nose has evolved a little bit more human, but she has those many eyes. And so the Copella are a very peculiar species that kind of range from, they just have so many different forms of evolution. But she and most Copella can be found in the forest of Jatheta 7-3. And so it's a pretty thick foresty planet. So that's a little bit about those creatures. And the other two, they didn't have names. Only the Copella is one that I've drawn over and over. But I like to draw octopuses a lot too. So she's kind of like an octopus lady. And as I said, these are a little bit more older pieces of artwork.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see the inspiration has carried through with my passion for drawing things with horns.
Yes.
I still draw things with horns, and this one was drawn about 4 years ago. So the passion for horns is still there. I definitely am inspired by Baphomet illustrations a lot. I really like Baphomet, and so that definitely carries over a lot into drawing a lot of goat-like creatures or things with horns.
Yeah, right. And that was also something briefly we spoke about. To someone like me, there's a lot of also inspiration behind that. My inspiration behind my artwork as well. And to me it's it would be obvious, but like not to everyone, and I'm glad you're expanding on that, and what your artwork actually represents, and it's also part of our culture, so it's very interesting. It's very interesting to finally have someone, like I said, expanding on that side as well. So
cool.
yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. Who is like your favorite artist, or maybe like inspirational figure, back when you began, or maybe
Sure. Well, in college, I was inspired a lot by H.R. Geiger, who is the creator for the design of Alien, and his artwork's like super fucked up and oriented around his nightmares.
Right.
And so he draws his night terrors, and so I liked that he so blatantly had like so much sexual stuff and darkness, just really, really dark stuff in his art, and it was captivating to me. So he's one of my inspirations from long ago. I don't know about lately so much. I don't feel like I don't really draw from any one artist right now as a primary inspiration. I think that it's more of a what inspires me based on what I see. So it could be from a plethora of different artists, not just like one specific person. So if it's something that sticks out, then I have like a bunch of I'm pretty tech savvy, pretty, into Instagram and whatnot. And so I have like so many different folders saved in Instagram of all these different categories of different things that I gain inspiration from. So I don't really even go into them that much to like see like what do I have in there. But so I have like art folder and makeup folder and spirituality folder, all sorts of different stuff. So I don't know where my inspiration comes from. It comes from primarily right now from learning about, it's still in the culture stuff, like that's still where I'm at. I just love learning about cultures, and I consider myself an omnist, which means that I appreciate and respect all spiritualities and all religions, and I like to learn how to incorporate them into my own life. And so lately, this year, I'm trying to learn about as many holidays and religious holy days as possible, and that means that I have like a holiday like every week. And so I've been having so many holidays, and the next one coming up is Ostera, and the Days of Unleavened Bread and Passover, and I'm currently in Lent, so it's like a lot of stuff. And so there's so much inspiration that I'm gaining through cultures. I say that's primarily where it's coming from right now. And so that has definitely contributed a lot to the sigils and what my sigils that I make are like based around, in a sense. I just really love learning about cultures and spiritualities. And I didn't think that I would be like super culture nerd geek, but man, I totally am.
Yeah, the way I met you was through the beginning of Notepads, which is a band that had to be placed on hold even before it started because of COVID, but that is still very much in the works. So and as we were talking, that project didn't just happen overnight. The creation of the artwork happened in a matter of weeks. It took like a few weeks to develop and to get the idea of what these characters were going to be, and then I had like some ideas. I remember
Oh yeah.
And I remember, having some ideas that I showed you.
Some of these I've never seen.
So
I've seen this guy.
yeah, that was the beginning. I remember.
I've never seen that one.
Right,
Yeah, you didn't
right.
show me all these. Like, were these all in existence, or did you draw them later?
I drew them after the fact. Yeah, after you drew yours.
Okay.
I said,
What?
okay, now this is the continuation.
Oh man.
And I wanted to wait until something like this happened,
This is so cool.
Right, huh?
Yeah, this is great.
So even I took a little bit of your work and not copied it, but I was inspired.
Yeah, I see.
was definitely
like,
inspired.
The kind
you know?
of landscape kind of has a similar feel as to what I drew.
Right.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
I was just kind of like playing off the ideas that you had. And
So now there's a fourth one. Who's the fourth
oh,
one?
it was just this was just like the people that were going to be involved in the No Pets band. And yeah, it's 4 people. So the members did change because of COVID. They some of them had to go do other types of work, or they had to quit the business entirely to focus on their families or their lives and stuff. So stuff happens with even simple stuff as artwork and music and stuff. So that's why it was placed on hold. But now that we're back at it, I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you.
Yeah, it's cool. This one's my favorite. Love that one. Oh man.
Switch it.
So is this the inspired by the octopus one monster that I illustrated, and then he's coming after
Right,
the fox?
And it clearly shows that
Yeah.
it's the guy that was in the machine.
I see.
No,
he's come out. Okay, I see.
Yeah. So,
And so the other aliens he's already in his new skin.
Right.
Oh wow.
And they switched from being grotesque to after they get their bodies, they turn into.
So he got him.
Yeah.
He got him.
Definitely.
Oh, no.
And he's he turns into this, it's all a metaphor for transformation. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's coming from my music being so just pop rock, and No Pets is the complete opposite. It's as you heard, it was from those demos that I sent you, so you would
excellent.
create. Oh, thank you. Those demos that I sent you, so you would create the artwork. And this is what was born from it, and we'll definitely show the digital form as well. But it all started with this one. Like if you don't mind explaining your work,
Right.
I remember.
So we took the ideas that you had, and you had a kind of vague idea of the monsters that you wanted them to look like, from what I remember, and then allowed me to kind of expand off of that. So we just knew mainly the creatures that were going to be the outside of the suits, which was a red panda, right?
Mm-hmm.
A red panda, a fox, and a raccoon.
Mm-hmm.
And so within those creatures, the actual identities of those creatures, we weren't sure entirely what they were going to look like. So that had a lot of freedom and creativity into it. So I knew that, of course, there you go. You got the horns again. I mean, obviously. how could Rachel draw something that didn't like have horns? And so and there's the octopus thing again. I said I like drawing octopuses, so I mean clearly that happened too. And with this one, I was definitely inspired by the Gaunt Man from Pan's Labyrinth. I really like that character, that creature, a lot. And so that definitely played a part. What did he come from? I can't even remember. Oh, this one was inspired by, to some extent, another creature that I've drawn before called the Diabolical Mornmouth. And he had kind of a head like this with the eyes. And so then I expanded out. I'm like, okay, how can I make him grosser? Okay, let's think Jabba the Hutt and give him some, like, tummy flabs. Yeah. Let's make him really, chunky, and then make it even weirder. He had some tentacles. And this guy, he's kind of more ghoulish. Like, he's just a sad, like, bat fellow. Like, he just looks so sad all the time. So they crash landed.
Must be the guitarist.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. They crash landed, and I wanted to clearly show that they were coming, escaping from the bad guy in their UFO, their aliens, and they crash land on planet Earth. Oh no, poor guys. And then they're like this. It gives me the I feel kind of like it's like a Tombstone kind of vibe. Like it's just a middle of nowhere town. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, what do? We crash land. How are we gonna like survive? We need to find help. And so they go into the town and they're walking around, and all the people in the streets. This is kind of inspired by like Beauty and the Beast, where everyone comes out with the pitchforks, kill the beast. So they're all like, what's this? Everyone's got pitchforks. This person has a gun. Everyone's pointing, waving. This one's like, oh my goodness. So they're very vague little sketches, but they all have little eyes. Mm-hmm. So they're all kind of like, what is this? Get these creatures out of our town. And so the poor guys, they're rejected. They don't know what they're going to do. So along comes the creatures, and this would be the one who's inspired by the Gaunt Man. That guy, you can see his tongue and his teeth and his wrinkly chin. And they're like, I think I know what we can do. We can just look at those cute little creatures. Everyone loves those creatures. If we just take those creatures and use their skin, then we'll be accepted. And so they attack this red panda and the fox and the raccoon, and they kill them. Poor guys. So this is the little attacking phase as the cute little critters are about to get slaughtered. So they've been skinned and hung up to dry. Their blood is being drained out of them. So you have the raccoon, red panda, and the fox, and those poor little guys. So that's gonna be their new skins. And so the predator who has been chasing them across galaxies, across the universe, he finally lands on Earth, and they're down here hiding behind these rocks. Oh my gosh, he's finally arrived. What are we gonna do? And so they're like, we have to get into our new animal skin suits. But he's already looking for them, so it's almost too late now. But I think they're going to be okay. So that's a little bit about the process of where my mind was going with the story and how it kind of developed. These were probably some of my first digital illustrations when I got my iPad, when I first switched over to drawing digitally. And so it was a fun introduction to using all these different variants of shades and color, like the shades of gray, to make things pop and stand out. And also incorporating landscape, which is something I don't typically do. Usually I don't draw any landscape whatsoever. But as you can see, I kept it kind of simplified, kept it basic and focused more on the creatures themselves. Right. So that's my interpretation of what happened with these guys.
No, yeah, absolutely. And it's so interesting because now the demos that I sent you were now that they are actual songs. now I took also a lot of details of the artwork to create like the details of the songs as well. So
Really?
there's a lot of sound bits in there of like people. There's a lot
Really?
of intergalactic
Oh, cool.
sounds, you know,
Oh.
like people that, you know, frighten people, or people that can't or don't comprehend the aliens escaping, you know. So it's again a whole metaphor for transformation. You know,
Yeah.
and it's I can't wait for everyone to hear it, and so they can hear what the artwork goes to, you know, and the people behind it, you know. So
that's cool. I'm excited to hear that the songs have transitioned even further, like with the adding in of different sound elements based off the pictures.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's so
Yes.
cool. Because I mean, I've only heard
the demos, yeah.
And I mean, they were excellent. So I can't wait to hear what's changed and how they progressed. Kind of reminds me of Gorillaz, like
a little bit,
because they have the animations that go with it.
Right.
And I mean, the animations make the music that much more powerful. Like, and all the characters, and it's just it's kind of cool.
Right, and to an extent, yeah, that was, you know, that was an inspiration. Also, you know, the even though the music is nothing, very different, nothing alike, but the idea of having a backstory with characters and animation, it definitely was taken from a Gorillaz, or you know, even a White Zombie, you know, type of deal, you know, back in the day. So you know, but we definitely wanted to make it a modern project, you know, and with modern ideas, and that's why we went after young people to help us, you know, including you, because we didn't want the same beat up ideas as, you know, as our us old timers have, you know. We wanted to have just come into the modern world when it came to music. So we decided we're gonna work with young people only this time, you know, so we can take it further later on, you know.
Okay.
So with that said, let me gather all this stuff, and I want to thank you for your time, first of all, and for following this you know, this project and until now, you know, like we started working, and then the together, and then the pandemic, you know, got in the way and stuff, but hey, here we are again. You know, we're just keep on coming.
I'm not surprised at all. We're both incredibly creative individuals, so I mean, it makes sense that we would reconnect somewhere along the way. So I really thank you for reaching out about this opportunity to talk about my artwork, because it's I definitely felt myself, like, when talking about my inspiration and my passions, like, I kind of get in this zone, like, where I just can tell that what I'm talking about, I'm so fervently passionate about, especially in regards to the cultures and how everything kind of transpired, and how my work shifted over time. Like, it's a nice feeling to be able to divulge this information into people who care to listen. So thank you for caring to listen.